Thanks, team. Okay, so we'll get underway. My name's James. I'm a co-chair for SIG etcd and a reviewer. This is the first of a new series of fortnightly etcd triage meetings. The intent of these sessions is we can work through PRs, issues, discussions, and wherever possible, try and take the load off our maintainers and try and take care of what we can. I notice we do have a couple of maintainers on the call. We've got Marek, we've got Wenjia. Many thanks for joining in. Particularly Marek, I know you're super busy, so there's no expectation that you must join these sessions, but you're certainly welcome, and it's great to see you here. But we'll try and take as much work off your plate as we can. For me today, it is Friday, October 27th. I'm guessing for most of you, it's October 26th. We will get underway. Can I just check, team, can you see the screen share? We've got a Google Doc to guide through this session. Yep, okay, thank you. So, triage. We've got a few projects that we want to work through. I've got one particular issue that I want to really highlight for this triage session, and that's around our upcoming Contrib Fest. But in the doc, if we just start from top to bottom, we've got the Kubernetes PRs and issues there with the links through to the filters. There's one open issue that is sitting with needs triage label currently. So if we have a quick look at that, looks like a potential bug, still to be confirmed, and it's in relation to Prometheus metrics. So a rather old metric, I think it came in 3.3 somewhere, etcd server health success, apparently stopping incrementing after a Kubernetes patch version update, 125.11 to 125.12. Now, I haven't seen this before, team. It's a bit interesting. I'll open the floor briefly. Does anyone on the call have any ideas what might be going on with this one?
Thinking that the Kubernetes stopped issuing health checks, which is unlikely, but that's because if I understand this correctly, what's happening is the Kubernetes issues the periodic health checks to etcd, and then this is the etcd metric, right? Or this is the Kubernetes metric, etcd server.
This is the etcd metric, is my understanding. Yeah. I can see both Marek and Josh have their hand up as well.
Yeah, sorry.
Go for it, Marek.
Yeah, so I would need to verify or double check it where it was backported, but I know a change that I'm responsible that stopped using the etcd health endpoint and migrated off etcd health checking. Yeah. So
okay, and that's an etcd.io backport?
No, this is Kubernetes back change that migrated off etcd health endpoint.
Right. Okay, so this could be just a genuine change. We can have a look at that. I don't want to spend too much time on each issue just because I do want to really get into the Contrib Fest stuff, but it's good we've got a potential lead for that, and we can look at those backports. Very quickly, I think, Josh, you've taken your hand down, so that's cool. We can move on to the next one, team. We've got a lead for that, so this is potentially a genuine change. And Kubernetes, cool. All right, okay, on to etcd. We've got a couple of PRs to look at. Oh,
sorry, I couldn't find the hand up button, but could you add that comment into the ticket, and then maybe we right now we don't have the triage accepted thing in our report yet, right? Oh wait, this is Kubernetes, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I am just.
And then can we add do a triage accepted? So are we gonna assign someone to look at it?
I'm a little, for this specific issue, I'm a little loath to comment straight away, just because I want to find that backport PR link. And in terms of triage accepted, whether it's like a genuine bug, again, I just want to have a little bit more information.
Yeah, I linked them in the document.
Ah,
What we
legend.
can
Okay.
do is, I mean, it's almost impossible for us to solve every single issue in this meeting. But what we can do is like find the person to, you know, triage it. Like, for example, if you volunteer to look at this issue going forward, and then just you know, assign to you, and then if you need anybody to take over, and you will be the one responsible for taking over it going forward. So if that's established, then we can just say triage accepted, because we do have people, you know, watching it.
Okay, fair enough. And we've got a couple of links from Eric, so let's go through and add the update.
Yeah, and then for other issues too, we can, if there is any, you know, volunteer in the audience, like say, oh, okay, this issue, I'm interested in looking at it, and we will assign to you. And then doesn't mean you have to solve it. You can always escalate to any of the other people and ask for help, but then we will have one person to follow up.
Okay, so discuss during ECD triage meeting relates to those two PRs. I feel a little bit bad for /assign Merrick, given the intent of these is to not give him more work, but that's okay for this one, I think. All right, thanks, team.
Thank you.
And triage accepted, I think. Yeah. Oh, I don't have permission to change labels here. Is it only a / command? Is it?
Yeah, triage, I think that.
Can't remember the bot command. Triage accepted. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, team. First one down. Moving on to LCD. We've got a couple of PRs to have a quick look at, and an issue that I do certainly want to discuss. So first up on the PR front, we've got a release as of about 2 hours ago for a new version of bbolt. We've got a PR open for main branch. I think this should be pretty straightforward in terms of main. I don't think there'd be any contention there. Let's have a quick look. I was just going to sanity check and then add a quick LGTM from my perspective. But we've also got a change log to have a quick look at as well. Pretty sure that's everything that references bbolt. I'll double check that. And there is also the PR for finishing off a little bit of the migration work. This is something we can have a quick chat about. So originally in this PR, I suggested we remove the older maintainers file now that we have a new owners file in place. There was an update from Josh, a bit of a good catch actually, that we may need to retain the original maintainers file because of etcd being in an interesting state right now of being both a SIG and a CNCF graduated project. There's an update from Merrick from yesterday with a suggestion perhaps we can just change the name of the file that's referenced for the CNCF graduated project or CNCF project maintainers CSV. I actually have a bit of a middle ground suggestion, and I want to see what people think of this. So rather than just having one owners file, just the one owners file referenced maybe in this document, I noticed some projects will have a separate section for the SIG. So there'll be both, you know, the CNCF project from their maintainers file or their owners file or something, and also the SIG members are listed there. If we could do something like that, it would solve a little bit of a problem we have right now where, like for example, as a SIG co-chair, I don't have access to the to this Zoom email account properly. So, Josh, probably a question for you. Can we just add a separate section for the SIG stuff that references the SIG leads link that Marek's proposed, and
Yes.
retain perhaps the link to the owner's file?
Yes, but we have to do it through a vote of the existing CNCF maintainers.
Okay.
And then we file a PR against projectmaintainers.csv and a service test ticket after we do that. But we want to like put an issue in etcd and ask the people who are current CNCF maintainers to vote on it.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got a plan there. That sounds really good. So raise issue.
Yeah. I mean, eventually, I think we want the SIG leads and the project maintainers to be the same group of people. We just have to come at that gradually.
Actually, given Marek has already kind of nudged along this direction in the PR, I might just add a comment with the idea and the PR, tag maintainers in there, and just see if we can get a quick consensus that way. And then I can raise the PR. Yes, so we'll update.
Yeah, basically you just need to give the CNCF people a link of reference to show where it's approved. Because obviously we wouldn't want them to change the list of maintainers if it wasn't approved.
Absolutely, yep.
And if we're going to change the reference file, we also need to notify the staff about that. Like we totally can rename the file to whatever we want it to be. We just need to tell them.
Okay, awesome. That gives us a plan for that one. Very much appreciated. The other PR very quickly was bumping Bebolt for 138. Anyone have any thoughts on this before I was going to give that an LGTM? It looks good to me. I was just going to double check the list of modules, but I'm pretty sure Benjamin would have got that right. We also want to look at the changelog PR that Benjamin has open for that. But yeah, any thoughts, team? Pretty straightforward, that one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll double check that and give it an LGTM after the call. Okay. etcd Contra Fest team. I think maybe we'll spend the rest of the session probably talking about this. Next, gee, it's only a week and a bit away. It's very close. KubeCon Chicago is about to kick off. One of the things etcd will be doing at the conference is doing a Contra Fest like we did in Amsterdam. It's an opportunity for us to interact with contributors and hopefully get some folks that maybe aren't familiar with etcd and contributing but want to along to the session and hopefully provide a really good experience on getting their first contribution merged. What this kind of means and what it needs is we need to in advance identify issues, triage them well, and create really good candidates for people to work on during the couple of hours or hour and a bit for the Contra Fest. And I really have to stress, like based on a couple of learnings in Amsterdam, these need to be really straightforward issues because it's so easy to get bogged down in stuff that needs wider discussion. At Amsterdam, we sort of ended up with a fair bit more work on the website rather than just on the kind of core etcd or Bebolt or Raft kind of code, Golang code, just because those website issues were simple enough for folks who are completely new to the project to just work on it right then and there. So I'm hoping with the Contra Fest coming up that we can triage a few more Golang kind of really straightforward good first issues for folks to work on. So this is really an invitation, everyone on the call, and if you've got folks that are able to help out in any way. In the lead up to the session, what we've got in this issue is a bit of a table of a suggested list of issues for people to work through. We can add stuff from Bebolt, from Raft, from etcd, from the website. But the main thing is trying to find stuff that's really simple. We've got a couple of suggestions already on the etcd side on some Golang stuff, which is awesome. Just in case, I've started adding a few just on the website side as well. I mean, there probably might also be a couple of people that just want to work on docs, which is cool. So we'll make sure that's covered too. But the tricky thing is trying to get these to be like really clear. And I think the first one was a suggestion from, I think there was a suggestion from Thomas. Yeah. And I actually don't think this one's a particularly good issue with how it stands at the moment. And the reason for that is because there's multiple things in here and it almost requires a little bit of previous knowledge. So I was going to kind of rate that as a bit of a hard, unless we can get some more context added. The next one was, is it the same link?
I think the link was broken. If you.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll go down. I'll fix that up. Bogdan's suggested this one here, and I think it's a better candidate here. I would also just suggest, Bogdan, if you get a moment, even though it's kind of straightforward, just add even more context into this description.
Okay.
For the person, just like trying to hint and sort of suggest and get them in the right direction. Yeah. So, opening to the floor team, do we have any other ideas for really straightforward, simple issues for folks to work on during the Contrib Fest?
There probably are others, but I haven't spent any time on it. I commit to spend some time on it and then look at it. Another thing that Marek and I have been discussing is, I think there are some leftover tasks from some of the older projects, like some of the design was done and most of the work is done. There are some smaller tasks of the work that's not done so that the features cannot be graduated. I'm not sure if we will be able to have a full list of things before the Contrib Fest, but sorry.
I mean, to give a little bit context, we discussed one problem that community has is lack of concentrated history of design and decisions and context about why we are here, how we got here, and because we mostly did design by Google Docs or issues, and there is no one format, there is no one place, they're spread out. So the idea was, can we, like the same situation was Kubernetes in like a couple of years ago when they started inventing caps, and they basically moved all the old things or all the old design into one place at least. And we were discussing doing the same thing. So technically anyone can pick. I mean, would be good to figure out the list, but anyone could pick a design and just move it from Google document to a cap or cap in a way that we have now a cap directory in Kubernetes, and we could just add. We could just copy, like first we need to move them as they are into Markdown file in Kubernetes directory, and then maybe start iterating on cleaning them up.
Sorry. Yeah, so I think the action items, I will add a comment in this thread, and then we can add to the Contrib Fest if we have things ready before then.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Now, I noticed Caleb has got a few suggestions in here. We can have a quick look at those and potentially add them to the table. The first one he raised yesterday, kind of interesting. So we went to Go 121 recently. There's a new feature in there where you can specify now the patched version, all the way down to the patch version, in go.mod. And if we went down that road, we could move away from having the separate top level file for .go version and just specify it in go mod, and then we could update the workflows so they wouldn't need to like cat the Go version and try and export it as a variable. For the GitHub action for setup Go, I think I've got an example. You can just specify to grab the version from go mod. Thoughts on this, team? Like, it would be a simple issue if folks are on board to kind of head in this direction.
I've been proposing something similar or other direction for managing the Go version. The problem is, for me, it's unclear what is the best solution. Definitely simplifying would be nice, but we mostly care about here backward compatibility and making sure that like this change is or the solution that we result is the most correct one from patching perspective, not necessarily just a simple one. Like that. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, it's for me, one maybe requirement for contrib fest issues would be they should be already agreed by maintainers. So
yes,
because like we don't want to take a risk on design decisions. If it could be simple if there was a big discussion, and this issue didn't have a discussion, and I'm not sure. Like my current thought is Go version is the version of Golang that we built in. The version in Go module is the Golang libraries that we want to fetch, and we want to keep them technically separate. We could think that we want to keep them separate, and it's not clear for me. And I would need to talk with Jordan Legit and Kubernetes people on Kubernetes that maintain patching to have one decision. So yeah, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah, no, it's a great point that anything that goes into contrib fest needs to be agreed, needs to be clear, and we don't want any ambiguity. Like it's kind of a terrible experience to go into contrib fest, raise something, and then get it like thrown out during PR reviews. So yeah, completely agree. I haven't added the contrib fest label to this issue. Let's see if we get any discussion on it over the next kind of week and a half. Otherwise, we'll leave that out. So the other couple were looking at gRPC health check for client and looking at the new feature for Raft async write. Now, again, both of these, just my gut says they're not, potentially not simple enough for contrib fest. I mean, async write, I mean, looking at this new feature, it would be nice to look at it. It's just we have such little time during the contrib fest, and it's really nice if you can try and get the PR merged during that session.
Yeah, I don't think this issue was even agreed that we want to have it in 3.6 because it's a huge change, or like huge impact of the change, because at least last two data corruption issues or like linearizability issues on, like, for example, on membership were related to the code of asynchronous writing in this loop.
Yeah.
And do we want to change this loop now? Like, or do we want to give it to a new contributor?
Yeah, let's leave that out. And the other one was, actually, sorry, I saw, Bogdan, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I was gonna suggest, so I also had an idea what we can do. So we can look at the older tests, and some of them are maybe not obvious what exactly they do. So maybe we can ask a person to kind of reproduce it, understand it, and maybe add some comments or improve on the test. So like there are, for example, I was looking at right now like watch test in the integration client v3. I mean, if you spend enough time, you probably can understand what's going on, but maybe like somebody new will be actually a good experience for them to understand the test and then maybe document it better, refactor, if there's a potential. I think that'll be useful. So I can find like a couple large tests that maybe a little bit hard to understand what's going on, and file an issue for each. And we can then, if they don't make sense, we can just somebody can do another pass on those and like close out the ones that what do you think?
Look, that sounds good to me. If we've got a couple of tests that are maybe a little bit legacy, like they've been around a while, it's not super clear, like there's no comments maybe at all. It could be nice to have a little bit more just plain English description added to them. And it's something that can be done then and there. And I think, Bogdan, you're coming along to help at ContraFest. So, I mean, you can help guide as well. And it's something we can probably get merged then and there. So if we have a couple of those in the bag, that would be good.
Okay, and then another one, which I was doing, I think, for the last one, is we just look at the code coverage and try to identify areas that are not well covered. I think most of the stuff is pretty much covered, but we can do unit tests on certain areas, which I know we really pursue unit test strategy. But I think in certain situations it does make sense where like there's some nested logic and to test some of that maybe just too much to set up like E2E test or integration test. So we can attempt that strategy. So I can look try to go through code coverage and file a couple issues like that.
Would be a huge help. Yeah.
Okay.
Very much appreciated. Okay, team, just very quickly, we are coming up on the half hour. I think moving forward, these sessions, half hour will probably be all right. We can kind of focus on a few key PRs or issues each session and just chip away at them. A little bit tricky with this ContraFest one because there's quite a lot to talk about and a lot of ways and a lot of directions we could go. But just a huge thank you for everyone for jumping into this first session. And I guess the next one will be shortly after KubeCon somewhere. So we'll hopefully see you all there.
Question:
Any other quick thoughts, team?
How many issues do you want to have in the table? Like like minimum at least, because I know it depends how many people show up, right? But I think we need to have at least a summary.
Yeah, if we think back to Amsterdam, we had a room of maybe, what was it? Maybe 20 or 30 people came along. It's if we have at least an issue per person sort of thing in terms of expected attendance, that would be good. I'll be adding a few more just like simplistic website-y sort of things and trying to find a few more. And open invitation for everyone on the call to just drop a comment, any other ideas, and we'll try and really grow this list a bit.
Okay, I'll try to do 5. I'm not sure I can get to 10, but I'll try to do 5. But and then you can take a look and if some don't make sense, so like if you don't like it, you can close them out.
Just quick question and maybe a feedback. Can we look into previous ContraFest and see what kind of issues we were most successful in? What kind of type of issues? I think that.
Yeah, certainly. I can add a little bit of a summary just in a comment from the previous ContraFest. Again, I think like we kind of defaulted a little bit to some of the docs issues and solving some of those problems during that session, just because they were a little bit easier for folks who were new to get into straight away. But I can put a summary in. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks.
I think actually one thing we can also check is there will be for anyone that's already using the schedule app for Chicago, some people might have already registered attendance at the ContraFest, so we can kind of see maybe over the next week or so what that looks like in terms of people that are signing up or kind of adding it to their schedule in advance to give us an idea. Okay, team, we are a couple of minutes over, so we will call it there. Thanks very much for coming along, and we'll hope to see you at the next one.
All right, thank you. Bye.
See you, team. Bye.
Okay.